Now, coincidences do happen, but in a federal investigation of this magnitude, nothing is really a coincidence, especially when it connects to decades.
Dang on, Diddy, you all on this dude. Lips. Get off this guy lips, man. You see that? Are y'all seeing this stuff like I'm looking at it? She got those ugly pants on. I don't care who pants they are. She's talking some, these your pants. I don't care. She bought them. I don't care who pants they are. They still ugly. Oh, my gracious, man. Love my fiance to death, boy. She's a beautiful, sexy. Love her to death. Oh, my God. But she don't want to dress up and she don't do makeup and do all that. That's what I love about her. This all natural beauty. That's what I like. You know, she don't, I got these headphones on. I'm sorry, y'all. Uncle Mike ain't even ready. What's going on, y'all? Check it out, man. I ain't gonna talk too much, man. The YouTube course, putting together a YouTube course, man, it's gonna be a dynamite course. If you're broke, if you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck, man, I swear to you guys, it feels so good. Having a little bit of extra money, being able to travel the world and not have a job you have to go to, doing a week vacation, then you back at work Monday through Friday. Only time they let you off is on the weekends and one of those holidays. Nah, man, I work at my time, my pace, and all that good stuff. So the YouTube growth system teaches you how to basically earn income online. It don't have to necessarily be with the YouTube, but the YouTube is your main hub. Anyway, check this out. I keep saying, if I can do this, I know you can do it, man. Check this out. Check it out, man. Tupac brother reveals secret tapes about Tupac being alive. Did we do this, big homie? See, somebody was talking about Tupac being alive and hiding from Diddy. God dang. Now, you know, Tupac, come on. Shout out to all the Tupac fans, man. You know, daggone well, Tupac ain't hiding from nobody. Why would he hide from Diddy when he got Suge Knight on his side? Think about that one. Y'all hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. Let's check this bad boy. Yeah.
So I honestly did not care whether I lived or died.
Damn.
But now I can.
You think if he didn't go to death row, would he still be alive?
Wow.
It's hard to say.
I can't leave until this is straight. You know, I'm not.
I can't believe.
I can't go until y'all really know what time it is.
For nearly 30 years, we've all accepted the same story about what happened to Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas, drive-by, 6 days in the hospital, done. Case closed. But now Mopreme Shakur, Tupac's actual brother, is sitting on Piers Morgan's show, basically saying we've been fed a load of lies this whole time. This isn't some random YouTuber with a crazy theory. This is family. This is a guy who grew up with Tupac and knew him better than anyone. And he's looking straight into the camera with a calm but intense expression and suggesting that everything we thought we knew is complete nonsense. When Piers asks him about Diddy's denials, you know, all those times Diddy swore he had nothing to do with Tupac's death, Mopreme doesn't buy it. Not even close. He's got serious doubts, and he's not afraid to say it publicly.
What did he say that day when he called you?
You know, I had my guys with me, Thug Life guys, and we heard what he had to say. He basically said he ain't have nothing to do with my brother's murder.
Mopreme told Diddy years ago that the truth always comes out. That was back in 2008 when Diddy actually called him, trying to convince the family he was innocent. And now, 17 years later, Mopreme's sitting there saying, we're going to see what the real truth is. That's not random speculation. That's someone who knows more than he's letting on. You can see it in his eyes. There's something deeper here. And think about it. If your brother was M'd and you truly believe the official story, would you be on national TV questioning everything? Probably not. You'd want closure. You'd want to move on. But Mopreme is still fighting for answers 3 decades later.
I get the feeling quite strongly that you don't believe Diddy. I don't think you believe a word of it.
Seems like he got a whole bunch of power, like absolute power.
What's interesting is how careful he's being with his words. He's not screaming conspiracy or making wild claims. He's planting seeds of doubt with the precision of someone who knows exactly what he's doing. And the timing? Diddy's facing federal charges right now. His whole empire is crumbling. Perfect time for family members to start talking, don't you think? We're not saying Tupac is alive and chilling in Cuba, but when his own brother starts questioning the narrative we've accepted for decades, maybe it's time we started asking some serious questions too. Because if Mopreme is right, then everything, and I mean everything we thought we knew about hip-hop history is about to get blown to pieces. So here's where things get interesting. Back in 2008, Diddy was apparently losing sleep over all the rumors connecting him to Tupac's death. And what does he do? He picks up the phone and calls the Shakur family directly.
The boy Puffy called me, though. Puffy called me back in the day. He called me. He was like, I just want you to know I ain't have nothing to do with your brothers. You know, I know who you are, but we never met.
Think about that for a second. Innocent people don't usually feel the need to call up a M victim's family 12 years after the fact to explain themselves. But Diddy was rattled enough by street talk and whispers that he reached out through radio host Big Boy to set up a conversation with Mopreme. Picture that phone call. Diddy's probably got his whole team around him, maybe even lawyers, and he's trying to convince Tupac's brother that he had absolutely nothing to do with the shooting, swearing up and down that he's innocent. But here's the thing, Mopreme wasn't buying it. Not then, not now. His response was pure gold. The truth always comes out. 4 words that probably haunt Diddy's dreams to this day. And Mopreme was right about that. Fast forward to 2025 and look where we are. Diddy's facing federal racketeering charges. His mansion's got raided. People are talking who never talked before. The walls are closing in. That 2008 phone call was supposed to be damage control. Diddy thought he could smooth things over with the family, maybe even get them to publicly support his innocence. Instead, it backfired completely. Why? Because Mopreme saw right through it. He listened politely, accepted the denials, but never truly believed them. And now, 17 years later, he's on TV basically saying Diddy's story doesn't hold water.
We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there.
If Diddy was completely innocent, why was he so worried about the rumors that he felt the need to personally reach out to the victim's family? Innocent people usually just ignore false accusations and move on with their lives. But Diddy couldn't ignore them. The whispers were getting louder. People were starting to connect the dots. And he knew he needed to get ahead of the story.
I don't know, man. I'm thinking, I don't know. What y'all think, man? You let me know in the comments. If somebody is accusing you, right? I don't know, man. That's a hard one for me, man. Everything is screwed up. Wait a minute, y'all. That's a hard one for me. I think, oh, that's worse. Anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. Uncle Mike is fickle when it come down to this sound. I'm looking at the meters, and the meters look uneven, but it sounded perfect in my head. So what's up with that? Anyway, I think that if somebody was accusing me of something, I would have to call them up and let's have a sit down or something. But waiting that long is what's scaring me right there. You know, I think Diddy should have reached out to the family when it first happened. I don't know, man. I'm kind of 50-50 on that.
False accusations and move on with their lives. But Diddy couldn't ignore them. The whispers were getting louder. People were starting to connect the dots.
Look at that. Do you see that? Hold up, y'all. I was trying to stop it right on that.
Family. Innocent people usually just ignore false accusations and move on with their lives.
What's this?
But Diddy couldn't ignore them. The whispers were getting louder. People were starting to connect the dots.
That right there. Maybe that's a worldwide type thing, man, but that ain't hip hop and that ain't thug. What the heck kind of top is that, man? What is going on here, Diddy? I don't understand. See, back then, we probably would have just said, well, he just trying to be different and move on. That looked like a female dress, man.
And he knew he needed to get ahead of the story. Problem is, once you start making desperate phone calls to convince people of your innocence, you've already lost the game. And Mopreme's prophecy is finally coming true. The truth really is coming out. And here's where things get absolutely crazy. You know how Diddy has been denying any involvement with Tupac's death for decades. Well, now it turns out federal investigators have been sitting on some pretty damning evidence this whole time. We're talking about secret police recordings where Diddy's name gets mentioned 47 times. 47 times in connection with Tupac's shooting. And this isn't some random gossip or street rumors. These are official law enforcement interrogation tapes with Keefe D, the guy who's now charged with Tupac's M.
Should looks over, he sees you. He looks right at you.
Yeah, he looks at me.
Keefe D didn't just whisper these allegations in some dark alley. He sat across from federal agents with recording equipment rolling and allegedly described in detail how Diddy offered millions for both Tupac and Suge Knight's heads. The exact quote that keeps popping up in these files? Diddy allegedly said, "I'll give anything for that dude's head." Now think about this logically. Why would federal prosecutors keep these recordings locked away for decades if they didn't contain serious evidence? Why would Keefe D's statements be considered credible enough to charge him with M based on his own confessions? Here's the really freaky part. These tapes have been sitting in evidence lockers all this time while Diddy was building his empire, winning awards, making speeches about peace and unity. Every public appearance, every denial, every time he claimed innocence, those 47 mentions were just waiting in the shadows. And now with Diddy facing federal racketeering charges and his whole operation under investigation, those old recordings suddenly look like smoking G's instead of ancient history. The timing is perfect if you think about it. Federal prosecutors love to use old evidence to build pattern cases. If they can prove Diddy was running a criminal enterprise now, what's to stop them from going back and connecting it to alleged crimes from the 1990s?
Puffy called and said, "Was that us?" And you didn't say nothing.
I didn't say nothing. Yeah, you're right.
There's also, you go into the book, that apparently there was supposed to be $1 million.
Keefe D's detailed descriptions of million-dollar bounties and M-plots weren't just talk. They were potential evidence that could finally tie Diddy to the biggest unsolved M in music history. And if those recordings ever see a courtroom, Diddy's carefully constructed narrative about his innocence is going to crumble faster than his business empire. And federal agents weren't even looking for Tupac evidence when they raided Diddy's mansions. They were hunting for modern stuff. ST, racketeering, financial crimes, but sometimes the biggest discoveries happen by complete accident. Buried deep in Diddy's personal files, agents found documents labeled with one word that sent conspiracy theories absolutely wild: Cuba. And before you roll your eyes and think that this is just random paperwork, remember that Tupac's aunt, Assata Shakur, has been living in Cuban exile since 1984. Now, coincidences do happen, but in a federal investigation of this magnitude, nothing is really a coincidence, especially when it connects to decades.
Dang on, Diddy, you all on this dude lips. Get off this guy lips, man. You see that? Are y'all seeing this stuff like I'm looking at it? I don't know, Diddy all on the dude lips. God, dude, I don't care if my daddy has something on his lips. I ain't touching his lips. I ain't touching no man lips, man.
1984.
I'm sorry.
Now, coincidences do happen, but in a federal investigation of this magnitude, nothing is really a coincidence, especially when it connects to decades of theories about Tupac escaping to Cuba after faking his death. Remember Michael Nice, Tupac's former bodyguard? He'd been claiming for years that he helped smuggle Tupac out of Las Vegas, switching bodies at the hospital and arranging a private jet to Barbados before the final stop, Cuba, under Castro's personal protection. Everyone dismissed Nice as crazy until he promised to release proof and then mysteriously vanished. Gone. Disappeared.
Tupac Shakur didn't actually die in '96 and is still alive and well.
But Nice had insisted that Castro himself approved the operation, turning Tupac into a protected asset of the Cuban government. Sounds insane, right? Except now we have federal agents finding Cuban references in Diddy's most private files. Think about what that means. If Diddy kept documentation connecting him to Cuban operations, it suggests he either knew about Tupac's survival or was actively involved in covering it up. Why else would Diddy have Cuban files unless he was monitoring something or someone on that island? Local residents in Havana have been reporting sightings for years. Some guy with Tupac's build moving through side streets, ducking into cafes, vanishing before anyone could get a clear photo, grainy footage, eyewitness accounts, persistent rumors of a legendary figure living in plain sight.
Part of Tupac's legend is that he'd been shot 5 times and survived before that fateful night here in Las Vegas in 1996. And because of that, Tupac's legacy has always been linked to Vegas.
But here's the scary possibility. If Diddy's files contain communications with Cuban contacts, financial records of international payments, or surveillance reports on Tupac's activities, then we're not just looking at an M cover-up. We're looking at an international conspiracy that spans decades. The Cuba files might be the smoking G that provides Diddy knew Tupac was alive all along and helped maintain the biggest deception in hip-hop history. And if federal prosecutors decide to open those files and make them public, the truth they reveal could destroy everything we thought we knew about September 1996. So now we talk about some seriously weird stuff that happened around Tupac's death. Because when you start digging into the official records, things don't quite add up the way they should. First off, the coroner's report. This document is supposed to be rock solid, right? Medical professionals, precise measurements, official documentation. But somehow Tupac's height and weight were listed incorrectly. We're talking about basic physical characteristics that any hospital staff or medical examiner would measure as standard procedure. Now, mistakes do happen, but when you're dealing with the most famous rapper in the world, you'd think someone would double-check the paperwork, right? Especially when the world is watching and asking questions. But this is where it gets really strange. The cremator, who allegedly handled Tupac's body, retired immediately after working on the case. Immediately, as in finished the job and disappeared from the profession forever. Who does that? Who retires right after handling the biggest case of their career? And then there's the Vegas shooting itself. We're talking about one of the busiest nights on the Strip. September 7th, after the Tyson fight. Thousands of people everywhere, cars, pedestrians, tourists with cameras. But somehow not a single bystander saw the actual shooter. Nobody got a clear look at the G-Man or the vehicle. How is that even possible? Suge Knight, who was literally sitting next to Tupac when it happened, has been dropping hints for years that something doesn't add up. Back in 2014, he straight up told TMZ, "Why you think nobody been arrested? 'Cause Tupac not gone."
I ain't the nigga killed Tupac, I'm the nigga protected Tupac. Yeah. But at the same time, bitch ass Puffy can give him a mother star, and every rat in the world said he didn't want to kill Tupac.
Think about that statement for a second. Suge was there. He lived through the shooting. He knows what really happened that night. And he's suggesting that Tupac isn't actually dead. All these little inconsistencies might seem random individually, but when you put them together, they start forming a pattern. Wrong information on official documents. Key witnesses disappearing or going silent. No reliable eyewitnesses to the actual shooting. Medical professionals retiring immediately after handling the case. Either we're looking at the most incompetent investigation in criminal history, or someone was working very hard to make sure the truth never came out. And with Diddy's current legal troubles and all these federal investigations, maybe we're finally going to see some real answers about what actually happened in Vegas on September 7th, 1996. Now here's the thing about Diddy's current situation that makes all these old conspiracy theories suddenly seem way more believable. Federal prosecutors aren't just going after him for random crimes. They're painting a picture of Bad Boy Records as a full-blown criminal organization that operated for decades under the cover of being a music label. We're talking about racketeering charges, ST, coercion, the kind of stuff that sounds more like organized crime than hip-hop business. And the more details that come out, the more it looks like Bad Boy wasn't just dropping hits. It was running an operation to control, exploit, and silence people.
That used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice.
Remember the...
Man, don't this sound like a real live movie? You got... It sound like an ongoing soap opera, man, that we started watching way from the beginning of not our lives, but the beginning of Diddy. What's that? There's a movie out, man, that the dude from A Living Color, I can't remember his name, the white guy, and he was stuck in this movie, and he thought it was real life, but everybody around him was actors. I forgot the name of that. The Harry Truman Project. That's the name of the movie, something like that. And it make you think, man, because I don't know, man. The more, I mean, think about it. If somebody trying to fake their death, they trying to hide it, and everybody trying to hide it. But some people are actually jumping out there saying that they seen Tupac, and the stupidest things they making mistakes on, man. Just like the 9/11 thing, man. Y'all look at my Facebook page, man. I've been putting a lot of stuff, because I actually investigated that stuff. I was rusty and didn't know what I was doing when I was investigating stuff. But y'all need to look into that 9/11 also. You talking about conspiracy theories. That is crazy.
Those infamous freak-off parties.
Here we go, man. Let's finish this joint up. My bad. Y'all always get off subject.
Including trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson.
This sound like
bribery,
a movie.
And the obstruction of justice.
Remember those infamous freak-off parties that everyone used to joke about? Turns out they weren't just wild celebrity gatherings. According to prosecutors, these were allegedly staged marathons where Diddy forced people into degrading situations, filmed everything, and then used the footage as blackmail material. Think about the psychology of that. You've got one of the most powerful men in music allegedly creating compromising material on people and then holding it over their heads for years. Anyone who tried to speak out or cause problems would suddenly find themselves facing serious consequences. And here's where it connects to the Tupac situation. If Diddy was really operating this kind of control system in the 2000s and 2010s, then what was he capable of back in the 1990s when the stakes were even higher and law enforcement wasn't paying as much attention? Former associates have described a world where saying no to Diddy wasn't really an option, where favors turned into debts, and debts could get ugly very, very quickly. Witnesses going silent, files disappearing, people who tried to speak up, either retracting their statements or never surfacing again. Sound familiar? Because that's exactly what happened with the Vegas investigation. Key witnesses went quiet. Evidence seemed to vanish. The case stalled for decades despite having multiple leads and potential suspects. But now we've got federal agents combing through every corner of Diddy's operation with modern investigative tools and unlimited resources.
It's funny, man. Every time I stop it, I can't hit the button fast enough, man.
Having multiple leads and potential suspects. But now we've got federal agents combing through every corner of Diddy's operation with modern investigative.
That's Tigger, y'all. That's beside him. For y'all, those who don't know, he worked at the radio station at the same time. Uncle Mike used to work at the radio station. I was a board operator, and Tigger was working the radio station, and he came to one of Faith Evans' shows, and I remember us being backstage talking, and I'm running the sound while the concert was going on, and Tigger was like, "Man, you working that board? You know what you doing, don't you? Go on, man." I said, "Yeah, well, I work at the radio station doing the same thing. What are you talking about?" "Oh, yeah. So this is weird, man, to see all this, man. Uncle Mike was right there. I was right there, but I wasn't there. I wasn't all into the Diddy thing, but I was around the circle of the sound equipment and all these people, man. So I'm like, damn, yeah. I'm sitting here like looking at this thing saying to myself, I can't believe he was doing all that stuff, but I didn't see that when my eyes was looking right at you, so to speak.
Tools and unlimited resources. And what are they finding? Missing witnesses in current cases. Victim number 3 has completely vanished, can't even be reached by her own lawyer. If this is how witnesses disappear in 2025, with federal protection and modern security, imagine what could happen back in 1996, when Diddy's operation was younger, hungrier, and way more desperate to establish dominance in the hip-hop world. The same tactics that allegedly silenced people around the Vegas shooting might still be at play today, wrapped into the larger machinery of what prosecutors are calling a criminal enterprise. Maybe the Vegas investigation wasn't just incompetent. Maybe it was sabotaged by people with serious resources and dangerous connections. Let's think about the logistics here for a second. If Tupac really did fake his death and escape to Cuba, and we're not saying he did, but if he did, we're not talking about some simple operation that one or two people could pull off.
Here we have a guy that said he saw Pac and took this picture, and it's trending like a on internet.
Moving and protecting someone as famous as Tupac would
I wanna see
require
the
serious
picture.
coordination. We're talking about allies, financial backers, international intelligence networks, the kind of operation that spans countries and involves people at very high levels of government and organized crime. Think about Cuba in the 1990s. Fidel Castro was still in power, allegedly actively thumbing his nose at the U.S. by harboring American fugitives and dissidents. Tupac's aunt, Assata Shakur, had already been living there in exile since 1984, after escaping from a New Jersey prison. So there was already a precedent for the Cuban government protecting high-profile American fugitives. But here's where it gets complicated. If Tupac was really protected by the Cuban government, that means Castro's intelligence services would have been involved. The DGI, Cuba's equivalent to the CIA, doesn't just casually protect foreign celebrities without getting something in return. What would they have wanted from Tupac? Information? Propaganda value? Financial compensation? If Diddy knew about this arrangement, which those Cuban files suggest he may have, then he wasn't just covering up an M. Think about all the people who would have needed to stay quiet for nearly 30 years. Hospital staff in Vegas, medical examiners, police investigators, airport security, immigration officials, Cuban government officials, international intelligence operatives. We're talking about a network of silence that spans multiple countries and government agencies. That kind of operation doesn't stay hidden unless everyone involved knows that talking would be very dangerous for their health. And if Diddy was really coordinating with international networks to keep Tupac's survival secret, then the people who helped maintain this deception had serious resources and serious motivation to make sure the truth never came out. The Cuba files might not just prove that Tupac survived, they might expose an international conspiracy involving agencies, criminal organizations, and music industry titans working together to control one of the most valuable narratives in entertainment history. And if that's what federal prosecutors find when they open those files, we're not just looking at the biggest cover-up in hip-hop history, we're looking at international espionage.
I honestly did not.
Damn, man, I don't know. Man, y'all got me. I'm twisted, man. Y'all got Uncle Mike twisted over here, man. Golly. I'm thinking that, dude, I don't know what to think, man. Okay, let's say, first of all, rest in peace if he is dead. Rest in peace, we want to say that. But, you know, once you, the greatest rapper, Tupac, All Eyes on Me, once you reach a certain level and you realize what it's like on that level, we don't know because we never experienced it. We think it's the best thing in the world. But them putting him in jail and pointing the finger at him and all this stuff, man, he just probably got sick and tired of it and said, well, this is your way out. And we're going to fake this death, and I'm trying to figure out what he'll get out of it. You can live a life. Because we're looking at it from our point of view. First of all, I couldn't fake my death. You know what I'm saying? I think I can speak for the majority of us saying I couldn't fake my death. I'd be missing all my loved ones and everything. I think did he have any kids? I don't know. I wasn't a Tupac fan back in the day, so I don't know too much about him. I was a Biggie fan. In fact, I was probably a Tupac hater. That's who I was. You know, I didn't like Tupac because when I first started checking him out, he was spitting on a cameraman. And I think that's very ugly for somebody to spit on another human being. So I automatically didn't like him, you know, so I don't know that much about him, but I'm looking at it like, dang, y'all, if y'all playing this role like this for real, oh my God, man. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I mean, I'm thinking just like the 9/11. That's why I brought that up, man. There's so many people really think that a plane hit the Pentagon. I went down there when this happened, because you know, you could tell Uncle Mike nosy. You could tell that. I went down there, dog, and when a plane falls out the sky, you look it up, how many weeks of investigations and close down the road and all this stuff happens. In 2 days, man, everything was back to normal. They got more evidence showing that a plane did not hit the Pentagon than what it did. Even with the 9/11 buildings, look how them buildings fell, man. And you know, in the United States, I think it's all over the world, but I'm just going to say in the United States, especially back then, every skyscraper building is designed to withstand an airplane hitting it. Back in 1960 or 1960 something, an airplane hit the World Trade Center. And they built these buildings, the World. Oh no, not the World Trade Center. An airplane hit the Empire State Building. Yeah, a plane hit the Empire State Building, and it didn't fall nowhere near like that. How can a plane hit so high? This is what I'm saying. Period. How can an airplane hit so high and the whole freaking building falls 2 times? People telling me back in the man, jet fuel, man, you don't know what you talking about. Jet fuel burn. Dude, you can look it up. Jet fuel cannot burn at that high temperature that you gonna melt steel. Are you kidding me? Some people just don't. Oh my God, man. I ain't mean to get off on all that. So I'm saying all that to say there are 2 sides to a story, and then there's the truth. Because whoever telling the story gonna make themselves look good or whatever the case may be. But I know one thing, man. If Tupac is alive, just like people saying Elvis was alive or still is alive or whatever. There's some people say Biggie alive. You know, that kind of died out a little bit. But they saying that they seen Tupac and all kinds of stuff, man. Some people want him to be alive. That's how much they loved him, you know. So y'all let me know what y'all think, man. I don't know. Good God Almighty, man. But I know one thing. Out of all this stuff pointing to Diddy, you mean not even half a thing you did nothing wrong? Come on, Diddy. You already got video footage of you doing stuff wrong. Beat that girl up in the daggone. Took everybody publishing and all this stuff. None of your artists is freaking... All your artists on the record label broke. All of them. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.